1 minute. Going to call the meeting to order at 5:02. Good evening. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you to the public hearing to adopt the final millage and budget meeting this Tuesday, September 16th, 2025. On July 22nd, 2025, the board authorized to advertise the 2025 proposed millage rates and the 2025-2026 tentative budget. The notice of proposed tax increase, budget summary, and capital outlay notice duly advertised on the district's and the Sarasota County's publicly accessible websites beginning July 25th, 2025. The board approved the proposed millage rates and the 2025-26 tentative budget on July 29th, 2025. The Sarasota County School Board's 2025 taxable assessed property values represent a 2.9% increase from the 2024 certified tax value. The 2025 proposed required local effort millage rate of 2.847 mills represents a 1.17% decrease from last year's rolled back millage rate. The total 2025 proposed millage rate represents a 0.51% decrease from last year's rolled back millage rate. The required local effort millage must be levied by the school board if the district is to participate and receive any Florida Education Finance Program, known as FEFP funds, in fiscal year 25-26. The operating millage is required to hire staff for the school district, pay negotiated salary and fringe benefits to staff, the cost of fuel, electricity, and other goods and services. Mrs. Tompkins, how many speakers do we have? Okay, we have 10 speakers, and because of time, we need to end this at 5:30 to get ready for the regular school board meeting. I would like a motion to have all comments, presenters be 2 minutes.
Second. Are you making the motion or are you looking for a second?
I say so moved.
Can we just do a voice vote? Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
Mrs. Ziegler?
Yes.
Ms. Rose?
Yes.
Mrs. Barker?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Thank you. So, welcome to the public comment segment of our meeting. Each speaker will state their full name, and you will have up to 2 minutes. A timer will appear on the screen. Please conclude promptly when the timer ends. The mic will automatically turn off when the timer reaches 0. Abusive language will not be tolerated. Outbursts, applause, and other interruptions that disrupt the meeting are not acceptable. Any person who interferes with the orderly process of the meeting after first being warned that such continued interference will result in removal. There are speakers in the room behind me that allow members to hear public comments when they are away from the dais. When your name is called, please approach the podium. If you choose to pass, you will forfeit your time to address the board. As a reminder, a recording cannot be played during your 2 minutes of public comment. We appreciate your cooperation, so let's begin with our first speaker, Mrs. Tompkins.
Thank you, Chair. The first person is Carol Lerner, followed by Deb Hayes.
Good afternoon. Carol Lerner. Not much has changed since I last addressed the Sarasota County Schools on the tentative budget last July. We still have a significant shortfall, and we still have $45 million being sucked out of the district budget, an amount that, if it had invested in our schools, would have created a surplus this year. But while the budget hasn't changed much, the outlook for future years looks even bleaker. Within 2 years, the state will be in deficit. As early as October 1st, we could feel the brunt of federal budget cuts. While the U.S. Senate thumbed its nose at the Trump administration's draconian budget cuts, that's good, the U.S. House accepted the overall Trump proposed 15% across the board and made a devastating 26% cut to Title I schools, with high proportions of students from low-income families. We have a 1-2 punch. Vouchers are now sucking fun out of our schools, and now we have schools of hope, which are sucking students and resources from within the schools if we let that happen. We're now talking about closing schools, and that's largely because of schools of hope. They're talking about closing Wilkinson. We feel this is not acceptable. What does this have to do with budgets? Everything. Vouchers and schools of hope are corporate, large corporate charters that will depopulate our schools if we let it happen. We can't save Wilkinson.
Thank you. Thank you.
Deb Hayes and Holly Bouillard.
Hayes, and I'm speaking about the adoption of the proposed budget. I first want to express my respect and gratitude to the staff who delivered this budget to you as a board under the most unnecessarily chaotic and difficult circumstances that I could ever imagine. I have only a few comments on the budget because there was really very little time for us to review it. But I have a question. In the first tentative budget proposal, the teaching positions in the district to be increased by 22 positions. In the most recent budget proposal, that number has changed to a negative 36 position. What's the reason for that huge difference in that short time? In the tentative budget book, there were several charts and spreadsheets that were very, very helpful to allow the public to know how things had changed over years. And those, an example, there was one on page 8, another on 47. There were several of them that were not included in the current budget book. It was very helpful to understand the trends and to look at revenue sources and how those revenue sources were changing dramatically. I hate to ask another task, but if possible, I would like the public to be provided updated spreadsheets and detailed historical revenue changes so that we can be more knowledgeable and more helpful to the district. As Carol mentioned, we are looking at a positive fiscal situation in Florida within the next several years. It's clear that the budget and financial position of the district is not going to get better. I would call upon the board and the community to work collaboratively to demand that Florida fully fund public education to mandates of state and federal regulations. Yes, fully. If they're asking us and mandating us to do certain things, then they need to fund things. Thank you.
Thank you. That was just the cut, that was just the cutoff, not to put that word in.
Holly, followed by Paulina Testerman.
All right, hi, I'm Holly. I'm a mom of a Wilkinson son, and I'm just here to speak to the budget plan as it pertains to balancing. First, I want to express how much families love Wilkinson. It's the only STEAM certified school in the whole state, as you all know, and it offers a nurturing, family-like environment. Many parents actually came to Wilkinson after their child was maybe bullied somewhere else and was looking for someone that was like home, and that's what it is to us and our fellow parents, okay? Here, kids are safe, supported, and inspired through innovative STEAM programs and our unique partnerships like the nearby Fab Lab. Thank you for your investment in Wilkinson over the years. I know that how much it's been a focus of the school board and the district, and we really see that like out in our children. Last week, our school community learned through news reports that Wilkinson might be closed. The front page of the Herald Tribune told our students that our school could disappear. And naturally, families felt a distress, anger, betrayal. That's not to start this conversation, okay? At last week's workshop, leadership pointed to a new regulation in terms of the Schools of Hope. And I've talked to some folks about this and read it, and it really puts at risk so many schools in our district. And so to us, parents at Wilkinson who have come together across background, politics, different types, we want to just be like ring the alarm for all of our students and parents in the whole district to say, like, let's come together and really partner with you all on a plan and to think, how can we, yes, like we save Wilkinson, we love it, but we want to be partnership with you, and honestly didn't love the way that this was rolled out, the way that our families learned about this. And then lastly, just want to say, our students are not numbers on a spreadsheet, so we want to have a conversation. Please come Thursday.
Thank you.
Paulina, followed by Julie Forrester.
Good evening. My name is Paulina Testerman. I'm really disappointed that you've decided to cut speaker time. There are 10 speakers. If you can't show respect to the speakers and allow them their 3 minutes, I called this afternoon to make sure we would all have 3 minutes. It's really disrespectful. I would suggest you start the meetings earlier if you can't respect 10 speakers. I want to share with our community how the school budget impacted my family last year. My daughter was a sophomore at Sarasota High School. She was in the ACE program, and her teacher abruptly quit. My daughter didn't have an Algebra 2 teacher from November until the end of the year. I assumed the school board was working feverishly to find replacement for my daughter's classroom. So imagine my horror when I realized at the end of the year that the job only posted for 10 days. Horrified, I was curious how many other classrooms had no teachers, so I pulled a public records request. There were 50 classrooms last year in Sarasota County that didn't have a teacher for at least 6 months, and of those 50, 25 didn't have a teacher for the entire year. Tell me how you're going to educate our children without teachers. Tell me why teachers are replaceable with substitutes and lesson plans. My daughter's in an ACE program. She's in Algebra 2. Tell me how she could possibly learn Algebra 2 without somebody instructing. They had lesson plans. They were ill-prepared. The school did the best they could. They really tried their best. My child is a child of privilege. We can afford a tutor, and I'm grateful for that. But tell me why none of those children failed that class. It's because children are being passed in these classes, and because it's the school's fault. You guys can't provide a teacher, and we're being assured that the children will still pass and that we don't have to worry about that. That is not how we educate children. We educate children by providing teachers an adequate education. You are doing our children a disservice, and without a budget, without a budget that can really provide education, we will be rolling who are uneducated.
Thank you.
Julie Forrester and Kennedy Cole.
Good evening, board. I'm speaking tonight about the budget crisis we're facing. The crisis didn't begin in Sarasota. It's the result of years of attacks from Tallahassee that have drained resources, shifted funding to private operators, and left us with few tools to meet students' needs. The proposed closing of Wilkinson Elementary is one symptom of a deeper problem. And we all know it will end there if the structural issues aren't addressed. Voucher expansion, schools of hope, and chronic underfunding are forcing impossible choices that hurt students and families. So what can this board do? Lead with transparency. Invite the community into this process. Parents, teachers, and students want to be part of the solution. But right now, many rightly feel left in the dark and out of the process. I urge you to hold more town halls and workshops, not just formal meetings where families wait 2 hours for 2 to 3 minutes to speak. Give families, teachers, and students the opportunity to ask questions and bring forward ideas. If the state is going to keep attacking public education, then we need to build a stronger partnership between the district and the community so we can fight back together. This is a test. Will we let Tallahassee divide us, or will we come together to demand better for our students? Sarasota can be a model for the latter if we engage openly and fight back together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kennedy Cole and Mary Compton.
Good evening. My name is Kennedy Cole, and I'm a Booker High School student. I am well aware of the budget that is proposed to be passed here today, and I hope everyone in this room is aware of the harm this budget will do to every single student and teacher in Sarasota County when it is passed. Booker High School, my school, will deliver a presentation later this evening, so I think it's important to note the staff losses at Booker High School that other schools across the district are facing as well. Because of this decrease in funding, we lost a behavior coach. We lost an ELL liaison as well as an ESOL liaison. Our assistant bookkeeper, a media aide, an SRO, and 2 security officers are all gone as well. Additionally, because of federal cuts that come directly to our schools, we lost an ELA teacher, a social studies teacher, a science teacher, and an elective teacher. Let me be clear. Every single one of these jobs are necessary, and it harms our schools to lose them. At the town hall, Superintendent Connor told everyone that no staff members were directly laid off and were offered alternative positions. For a full-time staff member at Booker who lives in Bradenton, this alternative position was a part-time job, Northport High School. That's not a reasonable alternative. And if you believe it is, I invite you to make that drive every single day for a part-time job. I don't believe anyone in this room is happy with the budget cuts that have come to our schools. But the reality is that this school district has not been vocal in opposition to these cuts on the local, state, or federal level. You are all elected to serve us students, so please speak up and advocate for our needs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Compton and Sebastian Martinez.
My name is Mary Compton. The citizens of Sarasota love their public schools. Recently, they showed their support by voting overwhelmingly yes on both the sales tax in 2022 and the referendum in 2024. Both those votes will generate millions of dollars for our school board. When the citizens of our community vote yes, they show support for our schools. And more importantly, they also show their trust in you. Trust that you will spend their hard-earned tax dollars wisely. In June of this year, the Florida State Legislature passed the Schools of Hope legislation. This would allow for-profit charter school operators to use school board properties without compensating the school board. Additionally, the school board would have to cover some of the charter schools' operating costs. This is scary stuff. Already, this school board is basing part of its decision to close Wilkinson Elementary on the threat presented by the School of Hope's legislation. Before surrendering our schools, I ask that you consider the legalities of this legislation. In 2022, the citizens of Sarasota voted yes for the penny sales tax. That's for capital improvements. How can they are going to get $73 million of that money. That's double dipping. If they're going to come use our schools. The referendum clearly stated the money would be shared with charter schools. They got their share. How can they come into our schools and use our operating budget? I ask that you Have your legal department look into this before you consider closing any school.
Thank you.
Sebastian Martinez and Leandra Yates.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Sebastian Martinez, product of Sarasota County Schools. And I wanted to speak very briefly about the budget. First, I want to thank the district staff, the superintendent, and the board for the increased transparency surrounding the district budget compared to past years. Carol and Deb covered most of what I had planned to speak on, but I do want to echo the requests of Ms. Hayes and what she proposed. I also want to ask if there was any way for the district to provide a breakdown of the staffing changes broken down by specific schools. Much to Kennedy's point, as someone who tracks funding and education policy change regularly, I knew about funding cuts and staff shortages and how it's impacting school districts across the state. Recently, I became the president of Booker High School SAC committee as one of the community members there. So when I heard how funding cuts and budget shortfalls are impacting Booker specifically, it made it much more real. And I had a much clearer understanding of how it affects Booker. And I think that district put out an explanation. I know you put out your explanation regarding the entire budget, but if it was broken down by school and what staffing changes were made, I think that would make it a lot more real for people, and people would get a much clearer understanding about the state of their schools. And I know it's additional work, but I do think that it would be helpful. Finally, one last note, and again, I'll always have feedback. Regarding the cut to 2 minutes, I'm not going to complain. On the district website, it says that the budget hearing is from 5 to 6. And so if it is going to be 5 to 5:30, it should reflect that on the website. Only piece of feedback. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Leandra Yates.
Good afternoon. My name is Leandra Yates. I'm a Sarasota County resident, a former assistant principal in the district, and now a child advocate here on the Gulf Coast. I'm here tonight on behalf of Wilkinson caregivers, families, and educators, and I think I might have a solution to the district bringing money back to the district. And I need to be clear, this solution is your opportunity to prove that you're willing to really collaborate with the people you serve. Prove through action, not just words, that you value parental rights and the educators that you are here to protect. Invite parents, invite educators, invite community members to sit at the table, and better yet, invite them to set the table and shape the agenda. Show them that Wilkinson and other elementaries, middle, and high schools are valued. Show them that their children's education matters. Show them that public education in Sarasota County matters. You all seem very worried about the money that you're losing to school choice, but let me be clear. The families I talk to every week are not leaving because they want to. In fact, many families relocated to Sarasota County because of your A rating. However, you are quite literally backing them into a corner and forcing them out. Stop pushing parents into a place where they feel they have no other option but to leave, where they must choose between supporting public education or protecting the well-being of their child. Families are watching, educators are watching, and trust on the line. The truth is, so many families in this district no longer trust you, but you can change that. But it's going to take courage and it's going to take action. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, if we don't have a card or you're signed up, you won't be able to speak. Next. Is there any other speakers, Ms. Thompson? Okay. This concludes our portion of the public comments for the adoption of the final millage rate. So I have a motion, please.
Move that the Sarasota County School Board adopt the following millage rates as presented. Millage levy 2025 proposed millage rate required local effort 2.847 mills, basic discretionary 0.748 mills, capital outlay 1.500 mills, voted operating 1.00 mills, and total millage rate at 6.095.
Second.
we do a voice vote. Mr. Edwards,
Is there any discussion first?
is there any discussion?
Okay, you may vote.
Thank you. It
When it pops up.
hasn't popped up.
You want to?
Mine didn't pop up.
He's marked. Yeah,
Yeah.
he wants to.
You want to speak, Mr.? Would you like to speak, Mr. Edwards?
Thank you. I do want to just address some of the comments that I heard regarding the budget. I am glad to hear that the sound coming back, that I've been sending this alarm for a long time, probably for the length of time I've been a school board member. In fact, that was one of the reasons why I ran the first time, was the protection of public education, because I saw what was happening, not just in Florida, but across the country. So the answer that I would say back, because we're going to have a lot more discussion, I'm sure, through the rest of the evening, but we were facing an issue with capacity through school choice. And school choice has exploded in a number of different ways. And I'm not going to go through the roster of all those things, because there are many. And I am in agreement with the communication of how the Wilkinson conversation came about. I've had those conversations with the superintendent, and we will be working hard to make sure that we get community input, because, as I pointed out in the last school board meeting about Wilkinson, that when we adopt Welland Park, the district was actually laid out by the community. They actually came up with so I'm wide open to hearing ideas and suggestions. And to the one speaker's point, there are a lot of schools that are facing the same kind of capacity conversation. So fasten your seatbelts. It's going to keep coming, because the forecast of the budget is what it is. So I just want everyone to know, and I think both sides of the aisle, I've heard it said here by my colleagues, elections have consequences, and we really have to pay attention, especially when we're looking to protect public education.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Mrs. Ziegler?
Thank you. Thank you for everyone coming to speak. I have to say, I really do love how much engagement and interest and focus is on so much of what's before us. The budget, years ago, we kind of joke about it and tongue in cheek, but there would be no one here, and you're about to pass $1 billion budget. So I really do applaud everyone being engaged. It's very important. Your tax dollars are very valuable, whether you have a child in our district or not. We all believe in the value of a quality education, and that impacts our community and the future of our community. I will say that I've had a lot of feedback as this budget process, as was mentioned, particularly from the state, as we waited and waited and waited, and it's very unusual in a lot of ways. And so I want to thank district staff for really working with that, and the superintendent for keeping us abreast of a lot of the variable situations that really needed to be decided with very minimal forecast, or like you don't have a crystal ball. But we recognize there is an impact at the level of service. And so I know Mr. Connor probably could back me up on the statement that I know I've said. I have to believe that my board members would say the same, is as we adjust to the financial conditions, we want to ensure that we're not impacting the level and quality of service of the education. When I think of a couple years ago with the change in leadership, speaking for myself, there were a couple areas that particularly our special needs population, which is also said ESE, I use that jargon a lot, so I'm trying not to use jargon so much, was a high priority, as is our reading. Again, this is something our board collectively all agrees on as a priority, and this leadership team hit that ground running, and really did blanket the district, for lack of a better term, with resources. And then there were a myriad of financial situations that changed that required some adjustments. And so anytime, whether it be I would like to put a bubble around reading, and I know we've talked about this before, but whether it be any supportive positions, I'm sure everyone here has worked in either private sector or worked at the school district. Anytime you have something, it's very hard to have something taken away. It's very hard. And so it is our superintendent's responsibility and our job to hold them accountable with the team, that making those decisions in a very prescriptive way and having a process to evaluate so that we don't lower the expectations and the outcomes of what we know is capable in Sarasota County schools, which is the academic piece. And so I do hear from many people, not just here today, but as we led up to this, is that they're concerned about different positions that are no longer there. I'm happy that many people realize that they weren't there 2 years prior. And so it can be done. It can be done. And different than all of us in our own households, things change, they shift, but the focus doesn't. And I have faith in our superintendent and the leadership that's here to constantly evaluate that. And so for me, that I know this was there's been a lot more talk about the budget. We applaud, as I mentioned, but I also want to clarify that these are these ebbs and flows of financial conditions are required of any organization. I'll talk briefly on Wilkinson just because it was brought up. And I know we have a long night ahead of us, but I will say that from a financial impact, we have a fiduciary responsibility to do and optimize the money that is provided to us graciously, in addition to what's already levied with the referendum, to utilize that money in the best possible way to ensure high quality academic outcomes. We have, unfortunately, for years, and I've been on here for a while, there are a handful of schools that have been under capacity for a very long time. And it has nothing to do with Schools of Hope, by the way. It has nothing to do with it. It has been like that for a long time. There's been great leadership at those schools, but it's just the migration of our community and just the sprawl that had been done that has made it harder to fill those schools. And there is operating costs that we have to consider. It's not easy, and someone said they're not just numbers. Like, there are names attached to those. It's not just numbers on a spreadsheet. And I know everyone up here understands that. And so through this process, as we talk about Wilkinson and some of the capacity issues, I don't look at it. I know that it can be used, and I said this at the last workshop, that people want to identify Schools of Hope as that kind of issue. The reality is this was something we had to address as a board. We are going to do it. And I've seen through the 2 different redistricting that we've done an incredible approach to all families to ensure whatever that disruption is, to support those families and make those students have what they need. And that is not lost in any way, shape, or form, no matter what the financial condition is. So I want to thank the staff. I want to thank the team, and thank you for our new CFO coming in, because it's been a very unique year. It always will be. I'm pretty sure every year we'll say that. I have no doubt we can achieve what we need to do regardless of the situation ahead of us. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ziegler. Would our CFO, Ms. Gabrielle, like to say anything, please?
Well, you kind of took my thunder and said all my information I want to say. But what I do want to say is that I am very appreciative to Krista Kurtner and the entire budget department, because they have worked very hard on this budget, and it is quite apparent. And I'm very impressed by their dedication and their work ethic.
Thank you. We are ready to take our vote. So we have our screen up now. Everybody voted and come up. The motion passes 5-0. Thank you. May I have a motion that the Sarasota County School Board adopt the 2025-2026 fiscal year budget as presented?
I move that the Sarasota County School Board adopt the 2025-2026 fiscal budget as presented.
Second.
Okay. Any comments? Seeing none, we'll take our vote. motion passes 5-0. Thank you. That concludes our special budget meeting, and we will reconvene at 6 o'clock for our regular school board meeting. Thank you. Oop, I forgot to ask for
No, you're fine.
vote.
Small board rules, you don't have to.
Yeah.
I like it.